Welcome back to Talk Today. It is 8:49 a.m. More than 1 billion people, that's an eighth of the world's population, is now obese. That's according to new analysis published in the Lancet Medical Journal.
The research shows 159 million of those people are children and adolescents, and 879 million are adults.
We're now joined by actor and TikTok influencer George Keywood, alongside dietitian and senior lecturer specialising in obesity, Dr. Dwayne Mellor. George, let's start with you. Are you surprised by these figures?
Look, it is shocking, you know, when you hear 1 billion people are obese worldwide, you know, that's quite a terrible thing to hear, but I kind of look at this and I kind of think, is that genuinely the statistics? Like, are they actually 1 billion? I mean, where is this information coming from? You know, and how much does it cost to source all of this information? Could that not be spent on actually, you know, getting operations done and actually dealing with the issue hand-on and directly, rather than just wasting time in bringing up big numbers to scare people? You know, I feel like there's more important things happening in the world that need to be looked at, rather than just, there's 1 billion obese people, there's 1 billion fat people. We can talk about numbers, but let's talk about the actual issue, you know, and I think that's what we need to start with.
I suppose the numbers then prompt us to talk about the issue, don't they, George? Dwayne, can I bring you in on this? Obesity now a greater threat globally than hunger. I mean, that's quite striking, isn't it?
I think if we actually look at this report, it does talk about hunger, and countries like Eritrea, where 31% of people are underweight. So we have a double burden globally. That's what it's described as. We need to remember, we're talking about people here, not just numbers. And just to answer that question, these stats are based on surveys within countries, so not everyone's been weighed. So these are estimates on estimates. So there's a degree of inaccuracy here. In terms of, is living with obesity a problem? Well, this is the consequence of environment, how it's a food environment, how active we become in this environment, other factors which lead people to eat. So we can't actually look at the people living with obesity as a problem. It's a consequence of the environments that people are living in, and we need to make it easier for people to live healthy lifestyles and possibly focus less on weight and more on helping people to be healthy. We don't tell people to stop coughing, we support them to stop smoking. When we're talking about living with obesity, it's about helping people to live healthy lifestyles, whatever weight they are to be at the moment.
Doctor, we know that those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds are more likely to be obese as well. I grew up on a council estate. There's no end of takeaways, off licenses, all the vices that help you put on weight easier. If you go to the richer, nicer neighbourhoods, you're not going to find a fish and chip shop next to the pizza parlour, next to the chicken shop, next to the kebab shop.
And that's part of how our environments are set up. You know, people buy food that they know their families will eat when they have got a low income. That's the economics of it. We don't need to have what some people worry about, a nanny state where we stop people eating certain foods. We need to use smarter measures. You know, I work in Birmingham. We've got a food system strategy that wants to actually get healthy food to people in a way that helps them generate money and generate jobs, because that's what we need to do. We can't just say, stop this, start that. We need to actually engineer that into our economies. You know, we could look at rundown takeaway shops and set them up as community kitchens, getting skills there, helping people to use food that otherwise would go in the bin as waste fresh food, and helping people to find ways of making easy, healthy foods. You know, and the other problem with takeaways is you don't have the washing up. There's the extra labour and time it takes to cook healthy food, which we can change by making little system changes, and those add up over time.
I mean, George, Dwayne there outlining some of the measures that could be put into place and some of the ones that are not effective, the kind of nanny state. I mean, we had the SNP this week talking about wanting to scrap meal deals, that you shouldn't get a crisp and a drink, you know, in an offer with your sandwich. Are those kind of policies, do they make any difference from your experience?
I think there's, you know, being a plus-size person myself, I can speak about this, and I think the main issue is advertising. You know, we no longer advertise cigarettes. Everything has got, you know, these black labels to cover it up. So why are we allowed to advertise these juicy, delicious-looking burgers on bus stops?
So
every single bus.
Junk food
yeah. Why do we need advertisements to encourage people to eat these big, juicy meals, which they never turn out to be the same anyway? You know, it's misadvertising, it's misleading, and it's encouraging people to constantly keep thinking about all of these different types of food and, oh, yeah, I'd really love a KFC, I'd really love a McDonald's. Constantly, it's visually there around and it's constantly hitting them in the mind every single time. They're thinking, oh, great. Oh, £2.20 for a burger. Cool, yes. I don't want to go buy an apple for, a pack of apples for £4.50 and go up. I'll go and buy a burger for £1 in McDonald's. It's a money thing as well, isn't it? It's a financial
What, the healthier
situation.
options are actually more expensive?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean,
I'm not sure that's true. Like, you can, if you go to a veg market, you can buy veg that is cheap. The problem is, it's not as tasty as a Big Mac, is it?
Well, exactly. I think that is obviously it as well. People are just looking to comfort themselves. I mean, look at the state the world is in right now. You're just looking to comfort yourself and make yourself feel happy. And unfortunately, people lead to, buying unhealthy options. I mean, we're just trying to treat ourselves, aren't we?
But should people not take some personal responsibility with this? Because obviously, well, everyone pays tax. If you're going to go to the NHS and for obesity, so be it. But it's not rocket science. Everyone basically knows you eat bad food, you don't move around enough, you're going to get fat.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is that simple. And, for myself, in the past 10 months, I've lost 7.5 stone through deflect diet and, exercise I've just introduced over the past month. So it shows that it can be done, but some people have gone too far. And there's nothing else other than surgical options, which are going to ultimately deal with it. My sister had the gastric sleeve and it's worked for her and it can work for a lot of other people. But I think that's another factor, the NHS and the waiting lists and the lack of funding from the governments as well is also a massive impact on this as well. I mean, there's just so many people with...
Huge expense as well to the NHS, £6.5 billion. And we are out of time. We could talk about this a lot longer. George, thank you very much indeed for coming in. And Dr. Dwayne Meller as well, thank you for your expertise.